Hello, everybody. Today I'll be presenting on the importance of saying thank you in a professional setting based on chapter 16 and 17 from the Essentials of Business Etiquette. We will be exploring how gratitude can impact relationships, career growth, and daily interactions. Saying thank you may seem small, but it can leave a lasting impression and even open doors in your career. Let's go to the next one. So we have a quote from the book saying, "Mom, you taught me how to say thank you when I was a child. Why do we have to teach this to adults?" This quote from the book highlights an interesting reality. Something as basic as saying thank you often gets overlooked in adulthood. In professional and personal setting, expressing gratitude can make a lasting impression. A simple thank you can change the way people perceive you and can improve both personal and professional relationships. Chapter 16. Why thank you matters. When we express gratitude, we acknowledge the kindness or effort someone has shown on us. However, in today's rush world, people often forget to do this. The book shares an example of a woman who helped a colleague by providing a reference, but he never thanked her. Because of this, she decided never to help him again. This shows that a small gesture can have a big impact. A lack of gratitude can burn bridges, while a simple thank you can build lasting professional connections. So here are some key takeaways from chapter 16. First, always say thank you when someone goes out of their way to help you. It improves relationships. In professional communication, using thanks in emails is a quick way to acknowledge efforts. Even small actions like waving thanks in traffic can foster goodwill. Lastly, adding please when making a request make people more willing to help you. These small habits of politeness can make a difference in how people respond to you and how willing they are to collaborate with you in the future. So here's an example from chapter 16 from the book. The book shares a story about a store manager who was frustrated in traffic and gave a rude gesture to another driver. The next day, the same driver walked into his store as a customer. This story help us um, remind ourselves how we treat others, whether in person, online, or even in traffic, can come back to us in unexpected ways. Being being nice at all times, even in frustrating moments, can help maintain professionalism and prevents future awkward encounters. So now we go to chapter 17, the importance of thank you notes. Chapter 17 explains that verbal gratitude is great, but reading thank you notes are even more powerful in professional settings. However, poorly written notes, like with typos or errors, can actually hurt your reputation instead of helping it. A well-crafted a well-crafted thank you note shows professionalism and attention to detail, which makes you stand out from others. So let's go over some key takeaways from chapter 17. You should send thank you notes after job interviews, networking meetings, or any occasion where someone helped you. However, be careful. As I mentioned before, typos and grammar mistakes can make you look unprofessional. Also, choosing between email and handwritten notes depends on the situation. Emails are quicker, while handwritten notes are more personal. The extra effort of sending a thoughtful note can leave a lasting impression of the person receiving it. This is an example from chapter 16. Timing is everything. In the book, a hiring manager received thank you emails from 3 out of 4 candidates the day after the interviews. The fourth candidate sent a handwritten note, but by the time it arrived, the decision had already been made. This just goes to show the importance of saying thank you notes within 24 hours, and also the importance of choosing the right way to send a note, either email or handwritten. So here are some real world applications. Practicing gratitude can improve relationships, open career opportunities, and improve interactions in daily life. Whether it's thanking a mentor, a coworker, or a stranger who helped you, showing appreciation can make a lasting impression. Gratitude not only benefits others, but also cultivates a positive mindset, which can lead to even greater success in the long run.
Hi, I'm Mia, and today I'm going to be talking to you about Chapter 18, which is about refined regifting rules. Now, regifting is basically the idea of repurposing a present you were given by gifting it to another. Choosing to do this is economical and resourceful since you're not paying for something new and not leaving a gift you probably will not use to go to waste. But as a receiver, you want to feel like a gift was specifically picked for you. This is why we will be going over 7 guidelines that can help you in regifting. Now, rule number 1 says to make sure the gift is appropriate. You want to gift things that actually have a purpose to the receiver and the occasion. Do not regift something just to get rid of it. Rule number 2 tells you to not leave evidence of past gifting on the gift. This means to always make sure you have gotten rid of any traces that the gift was a regift. For example, the gift could have a little card still on it that says it was to Mia, but you ended up giving it to Jessica. This could be a quick indication that it's a regift, and it could damage the relationship you have with the receiver. Next, for rule number 3, it tells us don't give the same gift back to the giver. This means to never give someone a gift they have given you. Be sure to keep track of the things you have been given so you don't accidentally give Monica the gift she gave you last year. Moving on to rule number 4, which is to make sure the gift is in good condition. And this means that when you're regifting, the last thing you want to do is give someone something that looks used or could be expired. Make sure the gift looks like as good as it did the day you got it, and rewrap it if you have to make it look presentable. Rule number 5 is to be careful regifting items that the recipient may want to exchange unless you have the gift receipt. This means to not regift unless you are sure the receiver will keep it. This can lead to them finding out it's a regift. And if you have a gift receipt, leave it with the gift so they have the option to exchange it if needed. Next, in rule number 6, we learn that sometimes it's okay to tell the person it's a regift if the gift is really special for that person. This means that there are times when it's okay to tell someone that you were gifted them something. For example, if I was given cruise trip tickets and decided to give them to my coworker, I could tell her they were given to me, but I knew she would really enjoy it, so I wanted to gift her the tickets. Sometimes regifting can be very thoughtful because you were given something and decided to give that up to somebody else because you know how much it could mean to the other person. And finally, rule number 7 tells us to be polite. This means that even if you know something is a regift, still say thank you because it could be the most that person could do and it could still take effort. And for an important point to know that in a business environment, gift giving can be tricky, and it is important to know the rules on gifts for your specific company. When it's appropriate or whether or not to give gifts to your boss, or if you as an employee can accept gifts from customers, coworkers, or vendors. Next, I'm going to be talking to you guys about chapter 91, which is trying to help you talk your way to success through presentation skills and tips. How you execute a presentation says plenty to an audience about how capable you are in communication and leadership skills. The most important takeaways from a presentation are not just topics you presented, but also how you presented yourself. Everyone wants to feel confident while giving a presentation, and the audience wants to believe they are listening to a credible source. This could be achieved by following these 4 tips on being an effective presenter. Tip number 1 tells you to practice out loud. Practice makes perfect, and doing it out loud can give you a better understanding of what the audience wants to hear. When you are going over a presentation in your head, you are not considering if it flows correctly, if the presentation makes sense, and if it sounds complete. For tip number 2, it tells us to look at people, which means that making eye contact with your audience helps them feel connected to you and to what you're saying. Looking at the people you are addressing shows confidence in yourself and control over the presentation. It may be difficult to remember this, especially when you're nervous, but it can advance your presentation skills drastically. Rule number 3 tells us to remember something called the 92% rule. And the 92% rule reminds us that we do not have to be perfect all the time and that mistakes can happen when presenting. The important part is to not focus on the flaws and keep pushing through to the end on a good note. For example, you may want to start the presentation stuttering or forgetting your words, but there's still time to regroup your thoughts and go on with the presentation to the best of your abilities. And finally, we're talking about tip number 4, which is to manage the questions. Questions from your audience is one of the most important parts of the presentation, and it is up to you to guide the process in an effective way. First off, you want to make sure that the audience knows when it's an appropriate time to ask questions. Next, you could guide the questions too by asking, are there any questions about the graph on 5 slides? Or any questions on the graph on slide 5. And finally, you could let the audience know that the questions are over. So that means you're done with questions. And finally, just an important takeaway is that the audience cannot know you are nervous unless there are verbal or nonverbal cues telling them otherwise. This mentality helps a nervous presenter recognize that they are the only ones that know they are nervous. So why worry about what the audience may think? Many times it is only us holding us back from being the most confident version of ourselves and reaching our full potential. We must remember that people only know what we say and show them. With that being said, bake it till you make it. That's all. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Juliet Alvarez, and today I'll be presenting to you chapters 92 and 93. I'm really excited to talk about something we've all faced at some point: presentations. Whether you're the one standing in front of the room or just watching someone else, we all know how presentations can go from super engaging to painfully awkward. That's why I'm here to share some tips from 2 really useful chapters: 3 things not to say in a presentation and dread presentations. Let's change that. By the end of this, I'm hoping you'll feel more confident about presenting, and who knows, maybe even start to enjoy it. Let's jump right into it. First, let's talk about 3 things not to say in a presentation. We've all heard these, and honestly, we've probably said them ourselves. The first one is, sorry, I'm not really prepared. That's basically telling your audience, don't take me seriously. Even if you feel underprepared, there's no need to mention it. Your audience doesn't know what you did or didn't plan for. If you speak with confidence, they'll assume you've got it together. Trust me, you know more than you think you do. The second is to avoid, I'll try to keep this short. Ever notice how when someone says that, it's never actually short? It sets the expectation wrong. Instead, you should start with something like, I'm excited to share some cool insights with you. So let's dive right in. It makes the audience feel like they're about to hear something valuable, not like they're waiting for it to end. And finally, the third one. This is a big one. I know this might be boring, but why would you ever want to plant that idea in someone's head? Your job is to make it interesting. If you believe in what you're talking about, chances are that your audience also will. Enthusiasm is contagious. Speak with energy, and people will naturally pay attention. Now, let's talk about the second chapter, dread presentations. Let's change that. If you're someone who dreads public speaking, you're definitely not alone. A lot of people rank it as one of their biggest fears. But here's the good news. You can actually flip that. That fear can come into confidence. And here's how. So first, you have to shift your mindset. Did you know that physical feeling of nervousness and excitement is basically the same? Your heart raises, your palms get sweaty, and you feel the surge of energy. The only difference is how you label it. Instead of thinking, I'm freaking out, try saying, I'm excited for this. It sounds simple, but it really works. Your brain believes what you tell it. Next, prepare, but don't memorize. A lot of people think memorizing every word will save them from messing up. But usually, it does the opposite. If you forgot one line, you freeze. Instead, focus on your main points and speak naturally around them, like you're having a conversation. It makes you sound more authentic and keeps the audience engaged. And finally, engage your audience. The best presentations don't feel like lectures. They feel like conversations. Ask a question, share a quick story, or even crack a little joke, if it feels right. When the audience feels involved, it's less about you performing and more about connecting. And that connection makes you feel more confident and in control. So, that's a wrap. Thank you for listening. And avoid those 3 self-sabotaging phrases. I'm not prepared, I'll keep it short, and this might be boring. Flip your nerves into excitement. Focus on key points instead of memorizing. And engage your audience like you're having a chat. Do that, and you'll not only survive your next presentation, but you'll crush it. Now here's my challenge for you. Next time you're asked to present, don't just think of it as something to get through. Think of it as a chance to share your ideas, connect with people, and maybe even have a little fun. Thank you so much for watching, and remember, it's not about being perfect, it's about being present. My name is Julia Alvarez, and thank you for listening to this presentation. Thank you.
Hello everyone, I'm excited to present on a crucial topic today that all speakers do face at some point, handling difficult audiences. This presentation is based on insights from our reading and real-world experiences, so let's dive in. Okay, I want to start with an inspiring quote that truly resonates with this topic. If you can speak, you can influence. If you can influence, you can change lives. This quote is our anthem because handling difficult audiences is not just about surviving a tough situation. It's about influencing, engaging, and leaving a lasting impression. So, my goal today is to equip everyone with strategies to turn challenging audience members into engaged participants. Let's explore how. From our reading, I discovered 3 powerful takeaways about handling tough audiences. Number 1, know your audience. Before you even begin speaking, research your audience. What do they already know? What are their concerns? The more you address their needs, the less likely they are to resist your message. So, the better you understand your audience's expectations, the more effectively you can engage with them. Number 2, establish credibility. Audiences trust speakers who project confidence and knowledge. Own the stage. Audiences are more likely to trust speakers who appear confident and knowledgeable, so introduce yourself with authority even if you feel nervous, project confidence, eye contact, body language, and voice projection all play such a huge role. Number 3, handle difficult individuals professionally. Obviously, not everyone in the audience will agree with you. Some may be even disruptive, but instead of reacting emotionally, remain composed, redirect the negativity, and handle objections with a calm and respectful approach. All right, so now that we've covered our key takeaways, let's dive into 3 actionable strategies that you can apply immediately to improve your presentations. All right, first impressions matter, so meet and greet before the talk. Arriving early and interacting with your audience beforehand helps establish a connection. A warm introduction can turn skeptical listeners into more engaged participants. Engage through storytelling. Facts tell, but stories sell. People remember emotions and personal experiences more than statistics. So use relatable stories to explain your points and keep the audience invested. And the last one, anticipate and prepare for objections. Difficult audiences often challenge speakers. So be ready for tough questions. Instead of avoiding them, acknowledge the concerns and respond thoughtfully. Preparation ensures confidence. And then to put these strategies into a perspective, I'm going to give you a real life example. Okay, so imagine a CEO steps in front of a room full of frustrated employees. They just announced a major company policy change, and the employees are very much not happy. There's visible tension in the room, crossed arms, skeptical faces, and even some murmuring. The audience is difficult, resistant, and ready to push back. Rather than avoiding the elephant in the room, the CEO acknowledges the employee's frustration. They could say something like, I know many of you have concerns about this change, and I want to take a moment to address them. By doing this, the speaker shows that they are aware of the resistance and respects the audience perspective. Next, instead of bombarding employees with facts and figures, the CEO shares a personal story. They talk about a time when they too faced a major change in their career and how it felt uncertain at first. But ultimately, it led to growth and opportunity. This makes the message more relatable and allows the audience to see things from a different perspective. Now comes the most challenging part, handling objections. Employees start asking tough questions, but instead of getting defensive, the CEO remains calm, listens carefully, and responds with clear, thoughtful answers. They don't dodge questions, they provide reasoning and examples to help the audience understand the decision that was made. And ultimately, what happens? By the end of the talk, the energy in the room has shifted. The employees may not love the change, but they are starting to see the bigger picture. Some even ask follow-up questions, and the discussion becomes constructive rather than combative. So, this example perfectly illustrates how applying the right strategies, addressing concerns, using storytelling, and handling objections with professionalism can turn a very difficult audience into an engaged one. And before we completely wrap up, I have a quick recap of what we covered. I believe these first two are the most important. So, know your audience, establish credibility, also project confidence, handle disruptions professionally, meet and greet before the talk, use storytelling, prepare for objections. Mastering these strategies will transform you from a nervous speaker into a confident and engaging presenter. I know personally I'm going to challenge myself to use these techniques moving forward, and I hope you all do the same. Thank you so much for listening.
Okay, for chapter 96 on Don't Present Like You Are a Young Person, I want to explain how the key strategies help you to appear experienced and self assured when you're young. The first three key strategies are speak with conviction, use professional language, present yourself in a polished business like manner. And then later on, I have 10 more pinfalls that best practices. These 10 pinfalls, the ones that I like the most, are eliminate casual terms such as everyone or you guys. Instead of using you guys, you should use everyone. Introduce yourself fully, giving your full name, establish credibility. You need to dress properly with a proper attire for a proper, serious, and successful conversation. You need to avoid hope and hopefully. You need to use languages more like we look forward to, more assertive. And then you need to speak with conviction. You need to replace I think, we think. Instead, we need to use direct statements. We need to be well prepared for the company history, achievements, and be able to speak confidently to let the audience know what you're speaking about and let them know that you know about it. Engage with bar to avoid being monotone, emphasizing key points. Instead of just saying like a bullet point, starting to explain yourself why you think things are important, such as these pitfalls. uh, Skip the to be honest with you and start considering speaking with customers in another manner. Instead, be more consistent and honest.
without being qualified as honest. So they are actually believing that you are honest. And that will be all for today. I will just eliminate or at the time of speaking, not to show that you are thinking about things and you know what you're trying to talk about. That will be all for my part. Thank you.
Hello. One thing our team members all have in common is that we're all committed to growth and self-improvement, whether it's through academics, personal goals, or developing new skills. We all believe in pushing ourselves to become better versions of who we are. That mindset made working on this project so much smoother because everyone was willing to contribute, learn from each other, and bring their best to the table. Thank you.